Today, we are diving into the pressing issue of rhino conservation and examining why these magnificent animals are disappearing so rapidly. The world's rhino populations are facing severe challenges that threaten their very existence. With fewer and fewer rhinos in the wild, it is essential to understand the causes behind their decline and what can be done to save them. Rhinos have always played a crucial role in their ecosystems, helping to shape the environments they live in, but today they are in danger of vanishing forever. There are only a few thousand rhinos remaining in the wild, and their numbers continue to drop. There are several key reasons for this alarming trend, and the first one is poaching. Poaching has become one of the most significant threats to rhinos. Rhino horns are highly valuable on the black market, with some people believing that these horns have the medicinal properties. However, this belief has no scientific foundation. Rhino horns are made of keratin, the same substance found in human hair and nails, and there is no evidence that they have any healing qualities. Despite this, the demand for rhino horns remains high, driving poachers to kill rhinos in order to supply the market. This illegal trade in rhino horns is devastating for rhino populations. Many rhinos are killed each year, and this number continues to rise. The impact of poaching is not just seen in the number of rhinos lost, but also in the lives of young rhinos. When a rhino is killed, its calf is often left behind, and without the protection and care of its mother, the young rhino has little chance of surviving. Aside from poaching, another critical factor contributing to the decline of rhinos is habitat loss. As human populations grow, more land is cleared for agriculture, cities, and roads, leaving rhinos with less space to roam. This destruction and fragmentation of their natural habitats make it harder for rhinos to find food, water, and shelter. As their habitats shrink, rhinos are forced into smaller, more isolated pockets of land where they face even greater challenges. Additionally, the conflict between humans and rhinos is becoming more common. As rhinos search for food and water in areas that are closer to human settlements, clashes can occur. Sometimes farmers and communities view rhinos as a threat to their crops or safety, leading to further harm to these animals. This human-wildlife conflict often results in rhinos being killed or relocated, which only adds to the struggle for survival. The decline in rhino populations is a crisis that needs urgent attention. We are at a point where action must be taken to protect these creatures before they are gone forever. The first step is to understand the factors behind their decline: poaching, habitat loss, and human-wildlife conflict. These are the challenges we need to face head-on if we want to make a difference in the fight to save rhinos. In the next part of this series, we will explore the conservation efforts that are being made to protect rhinos and what more can be done to help them. Join me as we look at the strategies being used to combat poaching, protect rhino habitats, and bring hope for the future of these incredible animals. In part 1, we explored the challenges that are driving rhinos toward extinction. Now we are going to focus on the efforts being made to save them. While the situation may seem dire, there are many people and organizations around the world working tirelessly to protect rhinos and ensure their survival. These efforts, though difficult, have shown promise, and we must continue to build on them. One of the most significant conservation efforts is anti-poaching initiatives. These efforts are essential in the fight against rhino poaching, which remains the leading cause of their decline. Conservation organizations, governments, and wildlife rangers are working together to increase protection for rhinos in the wild. In some of the most vulnerable areas, like national parks in Africa and Asia, rangers are on the front lines patrolling day and night to prevent poaching. In addition to the efforts of on-the-ground rangers, technology is being used to combat poaching. Drones, for example, are being employed to monitor vast areas of land, making it easier to spot poachers from the sky. Camera traps are also placed in strategic locations, allowing authorities to detect suspicious activity and track the movements of rhinos. These technologies are giving rangers a much-needed advantage in their fight against poachers. Another critical aspect of rhino conservation is the creation and protection of wildlife reserves and protected areas. These areas provide rhinos with safe spaces to live and breed without the threat of poaching or habitat destruction. For instance, some countries have established large-scale wildlife reserves where rhinos are closely monitored and given the best chances to thrive. These protected areas also provide a safe environment for other endangered species that share the same habitats, creating a broader impact on biodiversity conservation. In some regions, rhino populations are also benefiting from rewilding projects. Rewilding involves returning rhinos to areas where they were once found but where they had disappeared due to hunting or habitat loss. For example, some rhinos have been reintroduced to areas in South Africa and Kenya. These projects require careful planning and long-term commitment, but they offer a glimmer of hope for rhinos in places where their numbers had dropped dramatically. Conservationists are also working to engage local communities in protecting rhinos. Local communities are often the first to notice poaching activity, and they can play a critical role in helping to stop it. Many conservation programs now focus on education and awareness, teaching people about the importance of rhinos and how their survival benefits local ecosystems and economies. By involving local communities in the conservation process, there is greater ownership and responsibility for protecting rhinos, which can lead to more successful outcomes. Moreover, community-based conservation initiatives are being launched to provide alternative livelihoods to people living near rhino habitats. In some areas, communities are being trained in ecotourism, which allows them to generate income through activities like guiding tourists and managing wildlife reserves. This not only helps reduce the pressure on local wildlife, but also gives people an incentive to protect rhinos and their habitats. International cooperation has also been a crucial part of rhino conservation. Since rhinos do not respect borders, cooperation between countries is essential. Organizations like the International Rhino Foundation and CITES, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, work across borders to set policies, share knowledge, and coordinate efforts to protect rhinos worldwide. These agreements help enforce laws that regulate the illegal wildlife trade and ensure that rhinos are protected no matter where they live. Rhino conservation has also seen success stories, particularly in countries like Nepal. In Nepal, the population of the greater one-horned rhino has increased significantly over the past few decades thanks to strong conservation programs. These efforts include intensive anti-poaching patrols, community involvement, and habitat restoration projects. The success of these initiatives shows that when resources are allocated effectively and when local communities and governments collaborate, positive results can be achieved. Despite these promising efforts, rhino conservation is far from easy, and challenges remain. Poaching continues to be a major threat, and the illegal trade in rhino horns still fuels much of the destruction. The demand for rhino horns, especially in some Asian countries, is not just an economic issue, but also a cultural one. This makes the work of conservationists even more complicated, as they must not only address the physical threats to rhinos, but also change public perceptions and behaviors surrounding the demand for rhino horns. And however, there is hope. With continued support for anti-poaching measures, protected areas, community engagement, and international cooperation, rhinos can be saved. While the road ahead may be long, the work being done today is crucial to ensuring that future generations will have the chance to see these magnificent creatures in the wild. In the next part of our journey, we will look at the innovative approaches that are being used to further rhino conservation and how new technology and research are playing a vital role in protecting rhinos. Join me as we explore how science and innovation are giving rhinos a fighting chance for survival. In the previous sections, we discussed the challenges rhinos face and the conservation efforts underway to protect them. In this part, we will dive deeper into the innovative approaches and cutting-edge technologies that are revolutionizing rhino conservation. These advancements are not only helping protect rhinos, but also improving the effectiveness of conservation programs across the globe. One of the most groundbreaking innovations in rhino conservation is the use of DNA technology. DNA analysis has been used to track rhinos, monitor their health, and even help prevent poaching. In some cases, rhinos have been injected with a small, harmless microchip that contains their unique DNA. This chip, often referred to as a DNA fingerprint, allows conservationists to track a rhino's movements and detect any suspicious activity or illegal trade. By matching DNA samples from poached rhinos with known databases, authorities can trace the animal's origins, identify poaching networks, and prosecute criminals involved in the illegal wildlife trade. Another exciting development is the use of advanced tracking devices. In recent years, researchers have developed sophisticated GPS collars that can be fitted on rhinos to monitor their movements in real time. These collars are equipped with satellite technology, allowing conservationists to track rhinos from thousands of miles away. This technology is especially useful in remote areas where rhinos may roam over vast distances and where on-the-ground patrols are limited. The data collected from these collars can help identify rhino habitats, movement patterns, and even areas where they are at risk of poaching. By monitoring these trends, conservation teams can take preventive action, such as increasing patrols or reinforcing protective barriers around rhino habitats. In addition to tracking technology, there have been significant strides in developing non-invasive methods to monitor the health of rhinos. For example, researchers have begun using drone technology to fly over rhino habitats and collect important data about the animals' well-being without disturbing them. These drones are equipped with cameras and sensors that can detect changes in rhino behavior, such as whether they are eating, drinking, or moving in an unusual way. This information is crucial in understanding the health of individual rhinos and their populations as a whole. By detecting early signs of stress or disease, conservationists can intervene before a health issue becomes a bigger problem. Conservationists have also made strides in genetic research. This research is helping to ensure that rhino populations maintain genetic diversity, which is vital for their long-term survival. One example is the efforts to save the northern white rhino, a subspecies that is functionally extinct in the wild. With only 2 females remaining, researchers have turned to advanced reproductive technologies to try to save the species. In a groundbreaking move, scientists are using stored sperm from deceased male rhinos in an attempt to create embryos using in vitro fertilization. While the process is still in the experimental stages, it offers a glimmer of hope for saving this subspecies from complete extinction. In addition to reproductive technology, scientists are working on techniques to increase the reproductive success of rhinos. Some wildlife reserves are experimenting with artificial insemination and hormone treatments to encourage breeding among rhinos. These techniques are particularly useful in areas where there are fewer rhinos and limited opportunities for natural mating. By using these methods, conservationists are helping to boost rhino populations and increase the chances of survival for endangered species. Another area where science is playing a crucial role is in the fight against rhino horn poaching. Researchers are exploring ways to make rhino horns less valuable on the black market. One idea is to mark the horns with a special traceable dye or chemical that can't be removed. This would make it easier to track the horns and prove their origin if they are found being sold illegally. Another approach involves dehorning rhinos as a preventive measure, which has been successfully implemented in some areas. While this practice may seem extreme, it is often a way to reduce the risk of poaching. Without their horns, rhinos are less likely to be targeted by poachers, though this is not a permanent solution. The role of the public in rhino conservation cannot be understated. One of the most important ways people can help is by supporting organizations dedicated to protecting rhinos. Donations to these organizations fund anti-poaching patrols, habitat restoration, and research into new conservation strategies. The public can also contribute by spreading awareness about the plight of rhinos and the illegal wildlife trade. Social media campaigns, educational programs, and events like World Rhino Day, which occurs every year on September 22nd, help raise awareness and encourage people to take action. In addition to supporting conservation organizations, individuals can help by making ethical choices when it comes to travel and shopping. Ecotourism that focuses on wildlife conservation offers an opportunity for people to see rhinos and other animals in their natural habitats, while supporting local economies and conservation programs. Avoiding products made from rhino horns, such as traditional medicine or jewelry, also helps to reduce demand and stop the illegal trade. Finally, there are numerous ways that governments can take action to support rhino conservation. Stronger enforcement of wildlife protection laws, more funding for anti-poaching initiatives, and international cooperation between countries are all vital steps in ensuring that rhinos survive. Governments must also work together to close loopholes in international trade agreements and crack down on the illegal wildlife trade. This coordinated effort can help strengthen the global fight against poaching and create a safer environment for rhinos to thrive. As we move forward, it is clear that science and innovation are essential tools in rhino conservation. While challenges remain, the progress made so far is a testament to the power of new ideas and technologies in protecting these incredible animals. In the final part of our journey, we will look at the success stories that highlight the positive impact of these efforts and discuss what we can all do to make a difference. Stay tuned for the conclusion of this important discussion. In the final part of our journey, let's look at the inspiring success stories of rhino conservation, as well as what we can all do to help protect these incredible animals for future generations. While rhinos are still under threat, and there have been some significant victories, and these efforts provide hope that with the right action, we can help preserve them. One remarkable example of rhino conservation success is the recovery of the Indian rhinoceros, also known as the one-horned rhino. Over the past several decades, populations in India and Nepal have shown a significant rebound. In the early 20th century, Indian rhinos faced a dramatic population decline, with fewer than 200 individuals remaining. Today, thanks to focused conservation efforts, their numbers have risen to over 3,000, a tremendous achievement. These efforts have included anti-poaching patrols, habitat protection, and community involvement. The success of the Indian rhinoceros demonstrates the power of consistent conservation strategies when implemented effectively and supported by local communities and governments. In Africa, the efforts to save the black rhino are also showing promising results. With targeted protection in countries like Kenya, Tanzania, and South Africa, the black rhino population has started to grow again after years of decline. In the early 1980s, there were only about 2,000 black rhinos left in the wild. Today, their population has increased to nearly 5,000, a testament to the effectiveness of anti-poaching measures, habitat restoration, and community-driven conservation programs. The survival of black rhinos highlights how collective action supported by both local communities and international efforts can bring species back from the brink of extinction. Another important success story comes from South Africa's Kruger National Park, where rhino conservation has become a top priority. Kruger has been home to a variety of rhino species, including the white rhino, which has seen population growth thanks to ongoing anti-poaching patrols, law enforcement, and wildlife monitoring. The park also focuses on community engagement, working with local people to prevent human-wildlife conflict and provide education about the importance of rhino protection. As a result, Kruger has become one of the most successful rhino conservation areas in the world, providing a safe haven for hundreds of rhinos. Additionally, the relocation efforts for rhinos are gaining ground, with projects aimed at repopulating areas where rhinos once roamed freely. In some regions of Africa, rhinos have been successfully relocated to new reserves where poaching pressures are lower and their chances of survival are higher. These relocation efforts are crucial in restoring the genetic diversity of rhino populations and ensuring that they have enough space to roam and thrive. These programs also help reduce the impact of human activities on rhino habitats, giving the species a better chance at survival. Despite the ongoing threats, these stories of recovery offer hope. However, we must recognize that rhinos still face significant challenges, and conservation efforts must continue to evolve. It is crucial that we support conservation projects, both financially and through advocacy, to ensure that rhinos do not slip back toward extinction. With the rapid pace of habitat loss and the persistent demand for rhino horns, we must remain vigilant and proactive in our efforts to protect these animals. So what can we all do to help rhinos? First and foremost, we can support conservation organizations working to protect rhinos and their habitats. Many organizations, from large international NGOs to smaller local groups, are doing important work to combat poaching, restore habitats, and raise awareness. Donating to these organizations helps fund patrols, research, and education initiatives that are essential for rhino survival. Another key step is to raise awareness about the rhino crisis. Sharing information about rhinos and the threats they face on social media, in conversations, and within communities can help reduce the demand for rhino horns. Many people are unaware of the devastating impact that poaching has on rhinos, and educating the public can lead to better understanding and fewer people supporting the illegal wildlife trade. Supporting ethical wildlife tourism is another way we can make a difference. Ecotourism can help generate income for local communities while also providing funding for rhino conservation. Many wildlife reserves and national parks offer the opportunity to see rhinos in their natural habitats, and responsible tourism helps ensure that these animals are valued for their role in ecosystems rather than exploited for their horns. Lastly, we must hold governments and businesses accountable. Governments play a critical role in enforcing wildlife protection laws and supporting conservation efforts, and businesses should prioritize sustainable practices that do not contribute to habitat destruction or the illegal wildlife trade. By pressuring policymakers and encouraging businesses to act responsibly, we can make a tangible impact on rhino conservation. In conclusion, while rhinos continue to face immense challenges, there is hope. Thanks to innovative conservation efforts, international collaboration, and the hard work of dedicated individuals and organizations, we have made progress in protecting these incredible animals. However, the battle is far from over, and it is crucial that we all play a role in ensuring rhinos do not disappear from our planet forever. By supporting conservation initiatives, raising awareness, and taking action, we can help secure a future for rhinos and the ecosystems they support. And thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of rhino conservation. If you have any thoughts or questions, please share them in the comments below. And don't forget to explore more of our videos on wildlife preservation. Together, we can make a difference. Today, we're exploring a topic that doesn't always get the attention it deserves: the decline in mouse populations and why it matters. Mice might seem like small, insignificant creatures, but they play a crucial role in our ecosystems. Their presence helps maintain the balance of nature, supporting the survival of many other species, from birds of prey to foxes. Mice are an important food source for these predators, and their decline could cause major disruptions in the food chain. Mice contribute to ecosystems in several key ways. For one, they help in seed dispersal. As they scurry around in search of food, they carry seeds from one area to another, allowing new plants to grow. This process supports plant diversity and helps ecosystems thrive. Mice also play an essential role in nutrient cycling. As they feed and move through their habitats, they contribute to the health of the soil, which is critical for the growth of plants that other species rely on for food and shelter. But there are concerns that mice are disappearing. Their decline is not just a small problem. It could have serious consequences for ecosystems worldwide. Without mice, many predators would face difficulties finding food. This loss could lead to a ripple effect, where the decline of one species causes the decline of others. The loss of mice might cause an imbalance in the populations of predators and other animals that rely on them. The situation is particularly concerning because mice are facing several challenges that threaten their survival. Habitat loss is one of the biggest threats. As human activity continues to expand, urban areas are spreading, and forests are being cut down. This destruction of natural habitats makes it harder for mice to find safe places to live and reproduce. Climate change adds another layer of difficulty. As temperatures rise and weather patterns become more unpredictable, mice are struggling to adapt. Their food sources are becoming less reliable, and their living conditions are deteriorating. Despite these challenges, many people don't realize just how important mice are. But as we learn more about the complex connections in nature, it's clear that the decline of mice could be a warning sign of broader ecological problems. In the next part of this series, we'll dive deeper into the specific factors contributing to the decline of mouse populations, such as habitat loss, climate change, and the pressure from predators. Stay tuned as we uncover how these issues are affecting not just mice, but entire ecosystems. In the first part of our series, we explored how important mice are to our ecosystems. Now let's dive deeper into the specific factors that are contributing to their population decline. Mice face a combination of challenges that are making it harder for them to survive and thrive in the wild. These challenges come from both natural and human-made sources, and together, they are pushing mouse populations to dangerously low levels. One of the primary threats to mice is habitat loss. As cities and towns expand, the natural environments where mice live are being destroyed. Urbanization leads to the building of roads, homes, and commercial buildings, all of which take away the areas where mice can build their nests and find food. As forests and grasslands are cleared for development, mice are left with fewer places to hide, reproduce, and forage. This destruction of habitat is a huge problem because it reduces the amount of safe space available for mice to thrive. In addition to habitat loss, climate change is playing a major role in the decline of mice populations. Changes in temperature and weather patterns affect mice in several ways. Warmer temperatures can shift the types of plants and animals available for mice to eat, and unpredictable weather events like floods and droughts can destroy the places where they live. As climate conditions continue to change, it is becoming more difficult for mice to find the food and shelter they need to survive. These changes are forcing mice to adapt to new environments, but many are struggling to keep up. Another key factor behind the decline of mice is the pressure from predators. Mice have always been preyed upon by animals like owls, hawks, foxes, and snakes. However, as their habitats shrink and climate conditions change, mice are being forced into smaller and more crowded spaces. In these areas, they become easier targets for predators. The loss of safe hiding places means that mice are more exposed to dangers, making it harder for them to stay alive and reproduce. Human activities are also contributing to the problem. The widespread use of pesticides in agriculture and urban areas has been a major factor in the decline of many small animals, including mice. Pesticides are designed to kill pests, but they don't discriminate between harmful and beneficial animals. Mice that come into contact with these chemicals are poisoned, further reducing their numbers. Additionally, pollution from industrial activities such as chemical waste and plastic pollution is contaminating the environments where mice live, making them even more vulnerable. Together, these factors, habitat loss, climate change, predation, and human activity are creating a perfect storm for the decline of mice populations. The problem is not just about the survival of mice themselves, it's about the ripple effect their disappearance could cause throughout ecosystems. In the next part, we'll explore the potential long-term consequences of the decline of mice and what this could mean for the animals that rely on them not to bind. Stay with us as we uncover the bigger picture of how this issue impacts nature as a whole. In the first two parts of this series, we've learned about the important role mice play in ecosystems and the various factors that are contributing to their decline. Now, let's explore the consequences of this decline and what it means for the environment. The disappearance of mice isn't just a problem for mice themselves. It has a cascading effect on the entire ecosystem, impacting many other species and the balance of nature. Mice are a crucial part of the food chain. As small mammals, they serve as an essential food source for many predators, from birds of prey like owls and hawks to larger animals such as foxes and snakes. Without mice, these predators would struggle to find enough food to survive. This disruption in the food chain could lead to a decline in predator populations, creating a ripple effect that reaches across the ecosystem. For example, if birds of prey lose their main food source, their numbers might dwindle, which could lead to an increase in populations of smaller animals, such as insects, that the birds would normally keep in check. But the impact of a mouse population decline goes beyond just predators. Mice also play a vital role in seed dispersal. As they gather food and travel through their habitats, they carry seeds with them, helping to spread plants across different areas. This process encourages plant diversity and supports the growth of new vegetation. If mice disappear, the plants they help spread may not grow as effectively, leading to a reduction in plant diversity. This in turn affects the animals that rely on these plants for food and shelter, causing further disruptions in the ecosystem. Mice are also important for nutrient cycling in the environment. As they feed on seeds, grains, and small plants, they contribute to the breakdown of organic material in the soil. Their presence helps to enrich the soil, promoting healthy plant growth. Without mice, this important process would be disrupted, potentially leading to less fertile soil. This could affect the growth of plants that rely on rich soil, which would have a broader impact on the entire food web. The consequences of mouse population decline extend beyond just the animals and plants that rely on them. As small but important creatures in the ecosystem, their loss can alter the balance of nature in ways that may not be immediately obvious. The loss of a single species can set off a chain reaction, affecting many other species and changing the way ecosystems function. In the next part, we'll take a closer look at what can be done to help mouse populations and prevent further declines. By understanding the challenges they face and taking action, we can help protect these small creatures and, in turn, preserve the balance of our ecosystems. Stay tuned as we explore the conservation efforts that could make a difference in saving mice and ensuring their survival in the wild. In the first three parts of this series, we've discussed the important role mice play in ecosystems, the factors contributing to their decline, and the far-reaching consequences of their disappearance. Now it's time to focus on what we can do to help protect mouse populations and ensure their survival. While the challenges mice face are significant, there are several ways we can work together to make a positive impact and prevent further population declines. One of the most important steps we can take is to protect natural habitats. As we've seen, habitat loss due to urbanization and deforestation is a major threat to mice. By preserving forests, grasslands, and other natural areas, we can provide mice with the safe spaces they need to live and reproduce. This can be achieved through better land use planning, where development is carefully managed to avoid destroying vital habitats. Conservation areas and wildlife corridors can also be established to allow mice to move freely between different environments, helping to maintain genetic diversity and supporting population growth. Another critical action is reducing the impact of climate change. Climate change is affecting mice in many ways, from altering their food supply to changing their living conditions. To help mice, it is essential to address the root cause of climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions. This can be done through sustainable practices such as using renewable energy sources, reducing waste, and supporting policies that promote environmental protection. While tackling climate change is a global challenge, every effort counts, and even small actions can make a big difference for wildlife, including mice. Preventing the use of harmful pesticides and chemicals is also essential. Pesticides designed for agriculture or pest control often unintentionally harm mice and other small animals. By promoting the use of safer, more environmentally friendly alternatives, we can reduce the risks to mice populations. Supporting organic farming practices and encouraging responsible pesticide use can help protect not just mice, but many other species that are vulnerable to these chemicals. Finally, public awareness and education play a key role in conservation efforts. Many people may not realize how important mice are to the environment and how much their decline can affect the balance of ecosystems. By raising awareness about the challenges mice face and the importance of protecting them, we can encourage individuals, communities, and governments to take action. Education programs that focus on wildlife conservation and the role of small mammals in ecosystems can help foster a greater appreciation for these creatures and inspire people to support conservation initiatives. In conclusion, while the decline of mouse populations is a serious issue, there are many ways we can help ensure their survival. By protecting their habitats, addressing climate change, reducing pesticide use, and promoting education and awareness, we can work together to safeguard mice and maintain the health of our ecosystems. The future of mice and the ecosystems they support is in our hands. It's time to take action before it's too late. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of the challenges facing mice and the steps we can take to protect them. Let's continue to learn, share, and act to preserve the delicate balance of nature for future generations. Imagine a world without bees. At first, it might sound like a minor inconvenience. A little less buzz in the garden, maybe a bit more work at the local farmer's market, but the reality is far more serious than that. Bees play a critical role in our ecosystem, and without them, our world would be drastically different. Bees are the unsung heroes of nature. These small insects are responsible for pollinating about 1/3 of the world's crops. Without them, we would be without many of the foods we take for granted. Apples, blueberries, almonds, avocados, and even coffee. In fact, about 75% of flowering plants rely on pollinators like bees to reproduce. This means that without bees, the world would face a massive food crisis. Crops would fail, and the global food supply would be severely diminished. The decline of bee populations isn't just a future concern, it's already happening. Since 2010, beekeepers in the United States have reported losing about 30% of their colonies every year. This loss is staggering and is a direct result of several factors, including habitat destruction, pesticide use, and climate change. But what if all the bees suddenly disappeared? First, the consequences would be felt immediately. The food industry relies heavily on bee-pollinated crops, so without bees, many of the foods we eat would become scarce. Prices would skyrocket as farmers struggled to find alternative ways to pollinate their crops. The lack of bees would also lead to a dramatic decrease in the availability of fruits and vegetables, which make up a significant portion of our diet. Imagine grocery stores with empty fruit aisles, and your favorite fruits becoming luxuries that only the wealthy could afford. The impact would extend far beyond just our food. Bees help pollinate wild plants that provide essential food and shelter for wildlife. Many animals, including birds, small mammals, and insects, depend on these plants for survival. With fewer plants, there would be less food available for these animals, leading to a collapse in wildlife populations. Ecosystems would be disrupted and biodiversity would suffer. It would be a cascading effect, with one problem leading to another. The loss of bees could mean the loss of entire ecosystems, and the resilience of nature would be severely weakened. Even beyond their role in pollination, bees are vital for nutrient cycling. They help break down organic matter and contribute to soil health. This means that without them, plants would struggle to grow. The soil would lose its richness, and crops that rely on healthy soil would fail to thrive. In short, without bees, the very foundation of life on Earth would begin to crumble. In a world without bees, we would find ourselves in a food and environmental crisis like no other. While humanity might be able to scrape by for a while, the long-term consequences would be dire. The truth is, we're far more dependent on these tiny creatures than we may have realized. The loss of bees would be a wake-up call, forcing us to re-examine our relationship with nature and how we treat the environment. But that's just the beginning. In the next part, we'll explore the domino effect that could happen if bees went extinct and how it would ripple across our ecosystems, economy, and even our daily lives. If bees were to disappear from the planet, the consequences would spread far beyond the loss of just a few crops. The impact would be like a chain reaction, affecting the entire web of life in ways we might not immediately see. In a world without bees, not only would our food supply suffer, but entire ecosystems would begin to unravel, creating a ripple effect that could alter our environment and society in drastic ways. One of the first areas to feel the consequences would be the agricultural industry. Without bees to pollinate crops, farmers would be forced to look for alternatives. Some crops, like corn and wheat, don't rely on bees, but many of the foods we eat, fruits, vegetables, nuts, do. Without bees, farmers would have to rely on manual pollination, which would be incredibly labor-intensive and expensive. In fact, it could take hundreds of workers just to pollinate the amount of crops that bees manage to pollinate in a single day. This means that food prices would skyrocket. Without enough pollinators, the cost of produce would soar, and not just for things like berries and melons, but also for products like honey, which relies on bees for production. It would be a financial burden on consumers and farmers alike. The loss of bees could also cause a disruption in the availability of certain crops altogether. For example, almond trees depend heavily on bee pollination. Without bees, the entire almond industry could collapse, leading to a loss of an essential nut that is used in everything from snacks to almond milk. But the problem wouldn't stop there. As crops like fruits and vegetables become scarcer, so too would the animals that depend on them. Bees play an indirect role in feeding many species. For example, deer, rabbits, and birds rely on the plants that bees pollinate for food. As these plants begin to disappear, herbivores would have a harder time finding food, which would eventually affect carnivores who depend on them for survival. The collapse of one part of the food chain would send shockwaves throughout the entire system. With the loss of bees, the effects on ecosystems would be severe. Healthy ecosystems are built on the delicate balance of plants, animals, and their environment. Bees are a key part of that balance. They not only pollinate food crops, but also many wildflowers that are essential for maintaining biodiversity. Without bees to pollinate these plants, we could see a decline in the number of plant species, which in turn could lead to the loss of animal species that rely on those plants. Another major consequence would be the impact on soil health. Bees play a role in the nutrient cycle, helping to fertilize plants and promote healthy soil. Without bees, plants would struggle to grow and the soil would lose its richness. Crops would be less likely to thrive, and without healthy crops, the soil would deteriorate over time, leading to a decrease in agricultural productivity. The loss of bees would have far-reaching consequences that go beyond just the food we eat, affecting the very foundations of our ecosystems. In addition to the environmental and economic impacts, the loss of bees would have cultural and societal consequences. Bees have been important to humanity for thousands of years. They've been symbols of hard work, cooperation, and nature's delicate balance. Many cultures have depended on bees for honey, which is not only a food source, but also has medicinal uses. Without bees, the cultural and traditional practices surrounding beekeeping would vanish, and the loss of honey would be felt globally. The potential loss of bees is not just an environmental concern, it's a threat to our way of life. The disruption of ecosystems, the collapse of agricultural industries, and the rising cost of food would put pressure on societies everywhere. It's a sobering thought, but it's a reality we may soon have to face unless we act now. In the next part, we'll take a closer look at the possible solutions to this crisis and what we can do to help prevent the disappearance of bees. While the challenges are significant, there is still hope, and by making a few changes in our approach to the environment, we might be able to save these vital creatures before it's too late. The good news is that while the disappearance of bees would have devastating effects, There are many ways we can help prevent this from happening. One of the most important actions we can take is to address the factors that are directly contributing to the decline in bee populations. By tackling issues like habitat loss, pesticide use, and climate change, we can create a safer environment for bees to thrive. Habitat loss is one of the leading causes of bee decline. As cities and agricultural land expand, natural habitats like meadows, forests, and wildflower fields are being destroyed or altered. Bees need these habitats to find food, water, and shelter. And without them, their chances of survival are slim. To help, we can work to protect and restore these habitats. Planting wildflowers, native plants, and creating bee-friendly gardens are all great ways to support bee populations. These efforts can be made on a large scale, like through community or government-led restoration projects, or on a smaller scale, such as in private gardens. Even planting a few bee-friendly plants in your own backyard can make a difference. Another way to help is by reducing the use of harmful pesticides. Pesticides are toxic to bees, either directly by poisoning them or indirectly by contaminating their food sources. Many of the chemicals used on crops can have long-lasting effects, not only killing bees, but also affecting their ability to navigate, communicate, and reproduce. To minimize the impact of pesticides, farmers and gardeners can adopt more eco-friendly methods, such as using organic pesticides or encouraging natural predators like ladybugs and birds to control pests. Reducing pesticide use is crucial, and with the development of more sustainable farming practices, it's possible to reduce the harm to bees while still managing pests effectively. Climate change is also playing a major role in the decline of bees. As temperatures rise and weather patterns become more erratic, bees are struggling to adapt. Some plants are blooming earlier or later than usual, making it harder for bees to find food when they need it. Extreme weather events such as floods or droughts can also disrupt bee populations. In order to address the effects of climate change, we need to take action on a global scale. Reducing carbon emissions, protecting natural ecosystems, and promoting renewable energy sources are all vital steps in slowing down the effects of climate change and giving bees a fighting chance. One of the most effective ways to support bee populations, however, is through education and advocacy. Many people simply don't realize how crucial bees are to our everyday lives. By raising awareness about the importance of bees and the challenges they face, we can encourage more people to take action. Governments, organizations, and individuals all have a role to play in protecting bees. Some countries have already passed laws to protect pollinators, and more should follow suit. By supporting policies that protect bees, such as banning harmful pesticides or incentivizing the planting of bee-friendly plants, we can help create a world where bees are safe and thriving. On a smaller scale, there are everyday actions we can take to help bees. For example, reducing our use of plastic can help protect the natural habitats that bees rely on. By supporting sustainable and eco-friendly products, we can reduce our impact on the environment and create a healthier planet for bees to live in. Every small step counts, and when enough people come together to make changes, the impact can be significant. In addition to these efforts, beekeeping has also seen a resurgence in recent years, and many people are getting involved in keeping their own hives. Beekeeping can be a great way to directly support bee populations while also harvesting honey and beeswax. It's a way to connect with nature, learn about the important work bees do, and contribute to the survival of these vital creatures. Beekeepers help maintain healthy bee colonies, which in turn support the pollination of crops and wildflowers. It's a small but meaningful way to make a difference. All of these efforts combined can help create a safer environment for bees and prevent the collapse of ecosystems that rely on them. While it may seem like an overwhelming problem, the truth is that we can all make a difference. By being conscious of the actions we take, advocating for change, and supporting bee-friendly practices, we can help ensure that bees continue to thrive for generations to come. In the final part, we'll explore the importance of global cooperation in tackling the challenges bees face and how we can all work together to secure a future where bees are no longer at risk. The future of our planet and our food supply depends on it. The future of bees, and by extension, the future of our planet, is in our hands. While it may seem like the challenges they face are insurmountable, there is still hope. The decline of bee populations is a global issue, but it is one that can be addressed with collective effort. It's not just about protecting bees, it's about protecting the entire web of life that depends on them. One of the most crucial steps in ensuring the survival of bees is fostering international collaboration. Bee populations don't recognize borders, and the effects of their decline are felt worldwide. For this reason, countries need to come together to share knowledge, resources, and strategies for saving bees. The European Union, for example, has already implemented policies to protect pollinators, such as banning certain pesticides and encouraging sustainable farming practices. Other countries can follow suit by enacting similar measures and ensuring that bee protection is a priority. Governments have a key role to play in shaping the future of bee conservation. But it's not just about laws and regulations, it's also about funding research and supporting innovative solutions. For example, scientists are currently studying the genetics of bees to better understand how they adapt to environmental stressors. With this knowledge, we can develop more resilient bee populations and ensure that they can survive in the face of climate change and other threats. Investing in research is crucial for developing new ways to protect bees and understanding how we can create a healthier environment for them. In addition to government action, businesses and industries must also take responsibility. Agriculture, in particular, is a major contributor to bee decline, and it's essential for the industry to adopt more sustainable practices. By promoting organic farming, reducing pesticide use, and supporting pollinator-friendly initiatives, companies can help protect bees while still meeting the demand for food. This shift towards sustainability is not only good for bees, it's good for the economy and for the planet. Consumers also have the power to influence change by choosing products that support sustainable practices and by advocating for better policies. The role of individual action cannot be underestimated. Each of us can contribute to the well-being of bees by making small, everyday changes, whether it's planting a bee-friendly garden, reducing our carbon footprint, or supporting eco-friendly businesses. Every little action helps. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problem, but the truth is that collective action can make a significant difference. When enough people come together with a shared vision for a bee-friendly world, change becomes possible. Education and awareness play a huge part in bee conservation. Many people don't fully understand the importance of bees or how their decline could affect us all. Through education, we can inspire people to take action and support initiatives that protect bees. Schools, community groups, and environmental organizations all have a role to play in spreading the message about the importance of pollinators. The more people know about the vital role bees play in our ecosystems, the more likely they are to act in their defense. There are also exciting opportunities on the horizon, like the development of new technologies to protect bees. For instance, researchers are working on creating bee-friendly pesticides that are less harmful to pollinators. There are even efforts to create artificial pollinators, like drones, that could step in when bee populations are struggling. While these solutions are still in the early stages, they represent the kind of innovation we'll need to keep bees safe in the future. In the end, the survival of bees depends on all of us. Governments, businesses, scientists, and individuals all have a part to play in securing a future where bees continue to thrive. It may seem like an impossible task, but when we work together, we can protect these incredible creatures and ensure that our planet remains healthy and resilient. The question of whether humanity could survive without bees is a dire one, but it's a question we don't have to answer. With concerted effort and determination, we can protect the bees that are so vital to our survival. If we act now, we can ensure that future generations will continue to enjoy the many benefits that bees bring to our world. Thanks for sticking with me through this journey. Let's make sure we're doing everything we can to protect our planet's unsung heroes, the bees. If we want to ensure a future where bees continue to thrive, we need long-term solutions that go beyond immediate conservation efforts. While planting flowers, reducing pesticide use, and supporting sustainable agriculture are important, the fight to save bees must also focus on building a world where their survival is no longer in question. One of the biggest factors in long-term bee survival is restoring and protecting natural habitats. Over the past century, massive amounts of land have been cleared for urban development, large-scale farming, and industrial expansion. This destruction has left bees with fewer places to find food, shelter, and nesting sites. To reverse this, governments and environmental groups are working to restore meadows, grasslands, and forests that serve as natural homes for pollinators. Programs that turn abandoned lots into pollinator-friendly green spaces create protected wildflower corridors, and plant native vegetation along highways and city parks all contribute to creating a more sustainable world for bees. Beyond land restoration, changing the way we farm is essential. Modern industrial agriculture is designed for efficiency and large yields, but it often comes at the expense of biodiversity. Many farms today grow massive fields of a single crop, known as monocultures, which provide little to no food for bees outside of short blooming periods. Shifting to diverse crop rotations, intercropping, growing multiple plant species together, and integrating wildflowers into farmlands can create environments where bees have access to food year-round. Some farmers have already adopted bee-friendly practices, but widespread adoption will require incentives, education, and policy changes. The role of technology in bee conservation is another fascinating aspect of this issue. Scientists are exploring ways to support bee populations through artificial intelligence and robotics. Some researchers are developing robotic pollinators, tiny flying drones designed to mimic the behavior of bees by transferring pollen between plants. While this might sound like something out of science fiction, these innovations could play a role in pollination if bee populations continue to decline. However, replacing bees entirely with technology is not a realistic or desirable solution. Instead, these developments should be seen as temporary backups rather than replacements for natural pollinators. Another promising advancement is bee breeding programs aimed at increasing resilience in honeybee populations. By selectively breeding bees that are more resistant to disease, better adapted to climate change, or able to withstand environmental stressors, researchers hope to create stronger colonies that can survive in an increasingly unpredictable world. Beekeepers are also experimenting with hive designs that better protect bees from temperature fluctuations, pests, and chemical exposure. Public involvement will continue to be a major factor in the success of bee conservation efforts. Over the past few decades, awareness of the importance of bees has grown significantly. More people are learning about their role in ecosystems, advocating for policy changes, and supporting conservation initiatives. Grassroots efforts like community gardens that prioritize pollinator-friendly plants or citizen science projects where people help track bee populations are becoming more common. Schools are even incorporating bee education into their curriculums, ensuring that future generations understand the value of these tiny but mighty creatures. Ultimately, the question of whether humanity could survive without bees is not just about food or agriculture, it's about the health of the entire planet. Bees are a vital link in the chain of life, supporting ecosystems that sustain countless species, including humans. While there are ways to mitigate their loss, none of them come close to providing the same natural, efficient, and interconnected benefits that bees offer. The good news is that the situation is not hopeless. Unlike some environmental crises that feel too big to tackle, bee conservation is an issue where real change is possible. With the right mix of science, policy, and public action, we can ensure that bees continue to thrive for generations to come. Thanks for watching and being part of this important conversation. If you want to learn more about the natural world and how we can protect it, be sure to check out my next video. Let's keep working toward a future where bees and all of nature can flourish.